Well, Mauricio, talk to me. I saw it on one of your videos. You talking about the, when you're doing a 506B, they have to be Quentin to be able to invest with that. This is a common question. Everybody talks. Can you just talk a little bit about that? What is that? You have to know friends and family, and how does that work? That satisfied the
Yeah.
506B type of
Yeah,
syndication.
so just really, really high level. When you're in this business of selling securities, you either have to register your syndication with the SEC or find an exemption, or it's illegal, as I like to joke. So register, find an exemption, it's illegal. We don't do anything illegal. We don't want to register. So we're always looking for an exemption. And the one you mentioned, 506B, is hands down the most popular one because you are allowed to bring in some folks that are not high net worth individuals, people who are not accredited, is the word you use, which is anybody who has less than $1 million in net worth, excluding the primary residence, or maybe earns $200,000 or less. So that allows you to bring in non-accredited investors, a limited number, 35. But a lot of people get started, obviously they have their Uncle Bob or their Aunt Karen. Somebody's inevitably a buddy down the street. They're inevitably not high net worth. And so they want to bring them into the deal. And so that's why 506B is hands down the most popular exemption out there. So the good news is you can bring in non-accredited investors, people that don't have a high net worth. The bad news is you are limited to people that you already have, generally speaking, a pre-existing relationship with, a substantive relationship with. So you can't go advertise. That's the thing. There's no advertising. There's no general solicitation. There's no going on. I couldn't go on this podcast and say, oh, by the way, guys, I've got a deal. I'm doing a webinar tomorrow. Come join me. I couldn't do that on a 506B.
Click in the link down below.
Click on the link down below. I couldn't do that. I could do that with other exemptions, but not with a B. Generally speaking, again, and no, by the way, no social media, which is one that everybody likes to violate. Your website needs to be clean because your website's public. So you generally have to have a pre-existing substantive relationship, meaning you know the person well enough, you've talked to them, or you've just known them for years, that you believe that this person really is a sophisticated investor. It's somebody who knows how to evaluate risks and merits of a particular investment. And that's really your job, is to make sure that the person you're going to be taking money with understands the risk and they're sophisticated. So by doing that, you create this sort of substantive relationship. And as long as you have a pre-existing substantive relationship, generally speaking, you're not considered to be advertising or generally soliciting. So that's why it gets a little tricky there. But the idea behind 506B is simply it's a private offering. It's between you and your sphere. It's not for you to go advertise and go on social or talk to people you've never met before.
But what about a scenario that, for example, let's say I have 1,000 friends on my Facebook, and they are private. Not necessarily friends, but there is people that are called friends on Facebook, right? And they're know of me. And if I post something privately to my following on Facebook, is that a violation of 506B?
Yes. I mean, most Facebook accounts are public anyway, so there's very few that are private because people who are putting out content like that, they want to have that. If it truly is private, then the only way that would work is for you to establish that pre-existing relationship as a sort of a precondition to them coming into your world. That way you could say, look, all these 1,000 people I have in my world, I have a pre-existing relationship with. Then you could certainly post something like that. But if you don't really know them and you just met somebody at a conference and they're like, oh, let's be friends, and you become friends, you clearly do not know them. And you've got to go through these steps. There's about 8 steps that you generally have to go through that's generally recognized to take somebody that you just met at a conference, or that just maybe you met at a webinar or some social thing, and establish that substantive relationship.